books are. How would you show an icon democracy or honour, say? So it's a very literal world, and I often wonder, even there, how many children nowadays actually recognise the egg timer for an egg timer. Do they really know it's an egg timer, what an egg timer is? How many kids using computers do they ever use an egg timer in their life like that? So my own view is they take things literally. I would suggest a shorter attention span. Now this might sound rather Luddite, and I don't mean to be so, but I just want to point the facts. Over the last 10 years, there has been a threefold increase in prescriptions for Ritalin. That's to say, for attention deficit disorder, there's now about 55,000 prescriptions a year to children. That's risen, it's trebled over the last 10 years. Is it suddenly there's some terrible virus that's ascended over the last 10 years? Probably unlikely. Or is it that suddenly it's recognised more, possibly? Or could it be because of the increase in putting people in front of a screen at an early age, bombarding them with very fast-paced icons and stimulations that might drive those connections to be sensitive much more to short attention spans rather than the kind of attention spans that are required when you read a book or listen to a story. No conceptual framework, I'd like to suggest, and this issue of process over content. So let me explain those last two things. Everyone in this room was brought up reading books. And when you read a book, the author takes you by the hand and they take you on a journey. Now, it might not be a journey you like or that you agree with, but nonetheless, it's a narrative. There's a series of steps that are vaguely, one hopes, connected in some kind of quasi-logical sequence. Starting and go to the end. You then go on another journey, and each journey you make, because your brain is evaluated in terms of what has happened before. So gradually you evaluate each journey, each book, in terms of the framework that becomes ever more complex the more books you read. And my own view is this is what education used to be. It used to be, I was going to say mine was, where you start to develop concepts and ideas through reading many different books and comparing and contrasting, so that as you read more, so you put it into an ever more complex context in terms of how you understand how things are significant to you. You are acquiring checks and balances and tests for everything you read that are married and worked up against, benchmarked against what you've read already. Now imagine that you never had that you're parked in front of a screen saying yuck and wow and yuck and wow. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? The word has no meaning. Literally, things will not have the meaning that they've had to someone who has developed a conceptual framework. So if everyone here was brought up on books, we can all go on Google and we know what we want to find out, we know what's meaningful and meaningless, what we believe, what we don't believe, whether it's wrong, whether it's interesting or not. If you don't know those things, what will you do? Instead, you're going to put a premium on other things, the visual quality, boom, bang, yuck and wow. So you'll be putting perhaps a premium, not so much on the intrinsic meaning, because it has none for you, in terms of more the literal experience. And could it be, and this is why I'm interested in process over content, could it be that what you're doing now is getting your enjoyment and from the experience of doing this, the process, rather than on the content, rather than on the meaning? If you think about it, if you play a computer game to rescue the princess, do you really care about the princess? No. You care about the process and the excitement. You might as well be slaying a dragon as rescuing a princess. When you read a book, it's a good book, you care very much about the princess. Yeah? So that's the difference. It's process over meaning and content. So our children, therefore, are looking at this cyber world, and I did a speech in the House of Lords about 2 years ago on this. We did a debate on it for those who are really interested. It was about May, almost 2 years ago, May 06, if you want to look it up. We're exploring this, and it was a fascinating debate. And I don't want to sound like a Luddite, I just want to get us to think about these things, because computers are here, the cyber world's here. How do we harness it? Because imagine you were looking at this 6 hours a day. Exhausted. But you see the pace of it, yeah? And driving those synapses at that pace, yeah? And also the very interesting melange of the real world with a kind of quasi-sci-fi world. It's slightly science fiction-y, but not so science fiction as to be so removed. So it's slightly like reality, but not exactly reality. Yeah?